Road. Oh my God, it's hot. Welcome to Dogman Teepee Hunting. And if you're listening to this, it will be on the Interdimensional Voyagers podcast. And I'd like to introduce you to Joe, a very special guest. I'm not going to give him much of an introduction other than saying that he's a guy that is way beyond his years in knowledge, right from cryptids through to politics, through to Tartarian architecture, you name it, this guy knows it. Okay, hi Joe, how you doing?
I'm not too bad, mate. How are you? It's good to meet you.
I'm very well. Yeah, good to meet you as well, man. Good to meet you as well. Yeah, how are you coping with the heat?
The heat is horrible. I'm not gonna lie. I'm half Russian. I hate the heat.
Yeah, I know what you mean, man. It's like all of a sudden. The only time I like it when it's like this is usually on the bike, you know. But even then, when I'm on the bike, it's like someone's got a hairdryer on full blast on top heat with the air coming towards you, innit?
It depends on how quick you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
For example, my Ninja are like top out at 170. So you stay at 150, you're all right. You stay cool.
Right. Yeah, I'm a lot below that. I don't go.
I do those speeds all the time. That's ludicrous, but you know, sometimes you need to come down.
Yeah, that'd be mad to do. That would be mad to do. None of us do that. No.
Oh no, never.
Yeah.
That'd be illegal.
Absolutely. Yeah. No. Don't want to do that. Definitely not. No, don't want to do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So right. So what would you like to discuss? How would you like to describe yourself to the people?
Describe myself to the people. I'm a bit of an introvert. I like to study. Especially things about ancient languages, ancient hieroglyphs, buildings, properties, old scriptures, language, things like that. I'm one of these people where I like to seek the truth behind the bullshit. Excuse the language. So I'm always looking. Okay. I'm always looking for the truth. I'm always reading between the lines, taking what people say, everyone says, with a pinch of salt, and then doing my own research to finalize.
So an inquiring mind and a questioning heart.
Oh, absolutely. I question absolutely everything in life, everything. And this is one of my biggest issues in school, I believe. The teachers would ask us certain things, and I would question absolutely every aspect of what they were asking, not just the thing itself.
Yeah.
But I would pull the subject to pieces and dissect it and ask them to explain each detail in like greater detail, so it's easier to understand. A lot of people hide the truth in layers and layers of bullshit, as we're all aware.
Yeah.
And our world governments for the past 2,000 years have done nothing but lie to us all.
Okay.
They lie for power, they lie for control, and they lie for self-preservation. They seem to think they're doing the right thing, and they're just not. To hide the things that actually exist on this world from the rest of the populace is insane. Absolutely insane how stupid it is. Also part of the reason why a lot of people, when they go out to certain places and they speak certain things like the Dogman, werewolves, and we're talking things like the Yaya.
Right. What's a Yaya? Just to show my ignorance.
The Yaya is a genetically altered variation of what we call the cruller. or what you guys out there, I believe, call a rake. Over in the UK, we call it a crawler or a creeper.
Okay.
There's a lot of sightings of those things around here.
Yeah, the last time I believe I saw one, I didn't get it on video, but I got it on photo. And if I'm not mistaken,
I spotted one in your last video. I pointed it out to you.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
5 minutes in your video.
Yeah. I'll drop that. Timestamp. I'll drop that part of the video on here. And also I saw caught one at Cheddar Gorge as well, Joe. Overlooking the actual gorge itself, there's this forest, and I don't know if you've been there. You might have been there. Have you been to Cheddar Gorge?
It's the home of the changeling.
Yeah.
In the UK, we don't necessarily. We have a lot of cryptids.
Yeah.
But from what I can gather, from what I've seen, we have a lot of fairykin, changelings. We have a lot of specters, I guess you could call them, creatures that are corporeal yet incorporeal at the same time.
Okay.
You're talking about things like skinwalkers, which can bring themselves in and out of reality.
Yeah.
Using very, very twisted blood magics.
Okay.
Hoodoos, voodoos, those sorts of things.
So are they created? Do you think are they created, these creatures?
Skinwalker is created. It's created by a shaman. It's created through a very brutal ritual where the shaman must find the animal. They then have to skin it alive.
Okay.
And wear its pelt, and they say a few incantations. I'm not too sure what it is, along with a secondary sacrifice, and they will shift and change. Unfortunately, when they shift and change, their personality takes on a lot of the animalistic traits.
I believe the this is from reading. I read up on the berserkers, and the berserkers used to they used to take hallucinogenics, natural hallucinogenics like mushrooms and stuff, but and they used to work themselves up wearing these like wolf pelts a lot of times, but other times it would be other skins as well, and they used to work themselves up into absolute frenzy, and then take on the powers of that animal.
Yeah, that's the general consensus of it. It's just you're a lot more superior. You're far superior in every sense of the word. You have, imagine bestial strength, just deformed, twisted, vicious, hungry, and then give it a twisted human intelligence, greater than any human intelligence. Most cryptids are twice as intelligent as many humans.
Does it necessarily have to be the fact that the entity that, or the person that turns into this entity, is it necessarily the fact that their mind is twisted in such a way that, are you saying it's twisted in such a way that there's no sense of reason out of it, and all it wants to do is just kill and
no, you see, the Skinwalker was first developed due to the colonial attacks on the native Indians of America. When we went in, we'd wait for the Braves to go, and the colonials would go in and murder all the women, the children, and then, seek out the Braves while they're in mourning.
Okay.
A lot of the shamans that have deep connections with the animal spirits, a lot of Indian tribes, the Shoshone, Mohawks, all of them, they all have very deep connections to nature. And each of them are born with an animal spirit. My consensus is they choose the animal that they're born with as their spirit.
Okay.
And it's that animal that enables them, it's that connection that enables them to change into the hideous form.
Okay. Right. So it's a bit like to the lay people, that it's a little bit like being born a Sagittarian, or you're born to a sign, a spirit sign. We would be over here, which would be not a spirit sign, but we'd be born to an astrological sign.
Yeah, for example, I'm Sagittarius. I'm not saying I'm going to go and skin a horse and hopefully become Sagittarius. I mean, but
no, you and I both. Yeah. I mean, if I was born December as well, early part of December. So if anyone wants to send a present, that's fine. But please be
21st of
aware that I
December.
only accept them if they're wrapped.
Yeah, it's good if it's not wrapped, is it? I don't want them if they're not wrapped. Where's the effort? It's like getting a gift card, isn't it? Yeah, happy birthday, piss off.
That's right. Yeah, that's it.
God.
That's what's great about Facebook, isn't it? You get all these birthday messages come up. Oh, such and such birthday, and like, oh yeah, press a button. There you go. There's a gift. Yeah, happy birthday. Absolutely. Yeah, that's the effort. That's the effort. You know, I mean, like really. Yeah, you know, but that's the way it is then. And people walk away and go, oh, that's done. That's great. Yeah, you know, till next year. And then, God, mightily offended if I don't get a gift on my birthday. Oh.
Buddy, I haven't received a gift on my birthday since I was 15 years old. I'm 40 now. So it's one of those things where, I mean, I was born on the 21st of December. And like 4 days before Christmas. So I was always told that I would get an extra present on Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah, but so close to Christmas. It's always combined, isn't it? I suppose it was always combined. Yeah.
It was one of those things where I never really cared. I come from a huge family. I've got 8 sisters, 3 brothers, and a partridge in a pear tree. And you know, our family, we didn't come from much. We didn't have a heavy background. Like, we didn't have much money or anything else. My mom was a long distance lorry driver. My father was in the army. So we were looked after by a Catholic Roman church, which is a completely different story, and we'll get onto that another time. So I come from pretty much nothing. So when these sorts of things happen, like when I never received a gift or a card or anything else, it was just they've done their best.
Yeah, one of those things. Yeah.
You know, I've never been an accepting person. I've always been the sort of person that gives rather than takes. I've never been a taker.
No, I always had. My family were a bit strange. I've heard the royalty are a little bit the same. I mean, that's where the similes start and stop, really. But I can remember my auntie Sissy. She gave me a box of chocolates, and then I opened up the box of chocolates. It was soldiers, you know, in the shape of soldiers. I opened them up, and there was nothing in there. And I said to Auntie Sissy, I said, "Where's the chocolate?" She said, "They're all deserters, Phil."
Fucking brilliant.
I thought that was great, you know, but at the time I was only like 8, and I thought, oh, that really pissed me off then, you know.
In our house, we never had, it wasn't birthday presents from mum and dad. It was the birthday fairy. It was pretty funny. I mean, now I think about it now, but it would be the birthday fairy that turned up, that delivered your presents and hid them, like put them next to your bed.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Same as the tooth fairy and all the other things. My family are very pagan, to say the least. We're not God-fearing people. We believe in nature. My mother is a practicing Hecate witch, for example, and has been for a very, very long time. In fact, she's one of the head priestess of the London Coven.
Okay. So for people that don't know, I believe that is witches that people that worship the moon. Am I right in that?
It's the moon, sex, sacrifice, blood magic.
Okay.
It's not a nice. It's not a nice variation of magic, but it was. How would you put it? At the point that it was created, it was needed. You see, there's this saying where there are witches and there are warlocks. Now, a witch only borrows their power. They borrow it from the earth. They borrow it from the the life forms and stuff around them.
Yeah.
Where a warlock is the conduit of power.
Okay.
So he's almost like one of the receivers for a ley line, which is why a warlock 9 times out of 10 is 3-4 times more powerful than any witch. And there will be a lot of people out there that disagree with me. Well, I know better.
Okay.
And you know, I've seen things and I've been part of things. I've done certain rituals and been part of rituals.
I do believe you are absolutely right, because the witches that I've known, they have used the energies from the earth around them. They've almost been a conduit for
It's why
these
they're always
energies.
troubled when they most witches, they start to deform after a certain amount of time. That's nature's way. That's nature's way of saying you've taken, but you paid nothing in return.
Okay. Yeah.
Everything has a cost. Everything has a cost.
Yeah.
If someone is born, someone dies. If someone gains something, like money, fame, fortune, do the research. There's at least 2 people that have lost those things in the world. It has to come from somewhere. There's always causality. It's what you would call the Great Witch Paradox.
Okay. What's that? The Great Witch Paradox you're saying is there's a duality between the giving and there's
taking the power between borrowing the power, taking the power of nature.
Okay, there's a cost to it.
There's a cost. There's a cost to everything in this world.
Okay,
every breath you take has a cost.
Okay, so something like a grandmaster wizard, they would they pay a cost?
No, generally they would.
Would they have to pay a cost?
I don't. It's not a case of paying the cost with a wizard. A wizard creates magic. A warlock is a conduit of magic. A witch steals magic. This is why witches become deformed over time. This is why they look hideous and they have to hide their true nature and what they truly are. Their minds become adult. They become hateful.
Okay, right, and that when they deteriorate facially, it's because the magic they've used has taken a toll on them.
Paradox. Yes, it's a payment. It's the cost they must pay. If they're not using something like blood ritual magic, blood sacrifice, or any form of sacrifice magic, where the cost is then paid in life.
Okay.
If they don't make that sacrifice is then taken from the witch. This is the paradox.
Okay. All right. I got you. Yeah. Makes sense. Does make sense. All right. So just keeping a little bit on the subject of witches. Do they have familiars? Do they use familiars?
Yes,
Are these familiars? I've got 2 Jack Russell Terriers. If I was a witch, or
no.
Would I be able to?
No.
How does it work then?
A familiar is created through power and a piece of yourself.
Like a tulpa.
Yeah. If your familiar dies, for example, a part of you will in fact die. You lose a part of your soul. It's a part of your soul that you place into the familiar to create the connection. A familiar you have a telepathic connection with. And you can also give them the ability to shapeshift and form into a human.
Okay.
It's a very people think that it's a very simple, like beginner sort of magic, where in fact it's extremely difficult and very dangerous, because if you get it wrong, you end up selling more than you intended. You lose more of yourself than you intended. If your familiar dies, you will lose a part of yourself, and you will lose a portion of your magic, because your magic is then passed through the familiar. The familiar can then use the magic that you use. They're there to guide you, to protect you.
Okay. Does the familiar have to? Joe, does the familiar have to be an animal that we know, or can a familiar be created as in a pixie, a fairy?
It's all here. Creation's in the mind.
Okay.
That's what you perceive it to be.
Okay, right.
That whole question of creation, isn't it?
Yeah.
That whole theory of what comes first. Chicken or the egg, or the body, the human body or the soul. And I can tell you for a fact that the soul is created. The soul is already a real thing. It's already a tangible thing. It's the soul that creates the physical body around itself to be able to interact with the world around it. I believe consciousness, that the world that we live in, the primaterial world that we live in, was created at the point of I just had a brain fit there. I hate that. Way too far.
So you think so just to put it, because I mean I believe that the soul is all conjecture, all of it really conjecture, but I mean on my part, but I believe the soul is part and parcel with the, I don't like the word consciousness, really don't like it. It's too broad a term, it's too broad a word. It covers, is very nondescript really. I prefer either the mind in the head, the physical, the brain, the physical, or the mind, and the mind being maybe external, probably external. The reason I say that is because a lot of people who've gone into comas, they're in a deep coma, they flatline, they have no there's no triggering, firing of the synapses to the hippocampus at all. There's nothing at all there. They just flatline.
No, but what does in fact happen is at the point of death, the brain floods itself with DMT.
It does, yes, but we're talking coma. I'm not talking death. I'm not talking death.
A coma is a status, is a form of status. It's like halfway between life and death. You're on. Yeah, if there's been massive, I understand it to be, if there's been massive trauma, the brain will automatically protect itself from said trauma that it's experienced and say, right, okay, I've had enough of this crap. I'm going down onto a coma to get out of this and to regenerate and just to save what fragments of the person are left. These people, they lie in bed, and as I say, they've got nothing firing in their brain, but they kind of remember. There's been lots of cases where a relative's popped in, a nurse has come in. Oh, when they've woken up and they've come out of this coma, yeah, I remember when you came in the room. Thank you so much. You kissed my forehead. You held my hand. You washed me, nurse. You did. Now, if it wasn't for the external. Sometimes, but that's different. They're looking down on themselves. I'm talking about people that have come out of a coma and they've actually been conscious of the fact. Being completely.
It's like they're in a hospital bed, hooked up to a machine. They're in a hospital bed, hooked up to a machine, clinically in a coma, not brain dead. But their stasis within the synapses and the firing, but they're not showing anything. They're not showing anything at the moment. but there's something there where they were conscious of somebody coming in the room, maybe a nurse, maybe a relative, holding their hand, mopping their brow, kissing them on the forehead, changing them, washing them. They're conscious of that, which makes me think the brain, physical inside, but the mind, maybe people would call it consciousness. Maybe people would call it the soul,
Well,
is the hive mind, external.
The interesting thing, it's actually interesting you would say that. You see, because if I was to tell you that God as an entity, not so much. But if I was to tell you that it's your subconsciousness or your consciousness when it comes into existence that defines who you are and how you come to be. Okay, so you come from something called the veil, or my belief is we come from something called the veil. The veil was of 10th dimension. And our souls are the only truly immortal thing in the universe. We are reborn, we die, we learn, we process, we take in the good, the bad, and the ugly, all the experiences we could possibly get. When we die, our brains are flooded with DMT. The DMT enables our soul, if you want to call it the soul or consciousness, to leave the body and take all that information that they've acquired over their lifetime back to the veil. The veil itself is like you said, a very large, it's like a collective. There's one organism that splits itself into billions of smaller organisms to be able to obtain information and knowledge. So we're all part of one thing. For example, you create your body, you're your own creator. The mind is extraordinarily powerful, like beyond anything most people can understand. To the point that we use about 8 to 9% of your cerebral cortex.
Yeah.
If humans were to use 20% of their cerebral cortex, they would be able to manifest things, change their body shape. They would have intelligence beyond anything walking the face of this planet. We're born with a supercomputer, which is our mind. Our mind is connected to the cosmos. The cosmos is connected to everything because it is everything. We are all stardust, held together at certain vibrations.
But see, there it goes again. I have heard quite a few times about this. We're all connected from plants, flowers, trees, shrub, water. I get it. But it's very cult-like to think that way. It's like kind of, it may be true, but if that's the case, you find a lot of people kind of like joining arms and singing a Coca-Cola song around a campfire, trying to meditate themselves into a tree. I'm not dismissing it, but what I'm saying is there's nothing tangible there. There's nothing tangible there that I can sort of like say, right, okay, I'm from the school of thought of philosophy where I vie more on the side of I do believe our brains are very powerful. You are completely right. We don't use majority of them. We only use about 10%, if that. But I do believe that we project what we interpret to see.
Yes, we create our own reality.
Yes. I really do believe that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And I think some of us are able to manipulate that reality. Not all of us, but some of us are.
To learn how to manipulate reality. And there are so many teachings for it as well. There's one that the Buddha used called Wushin Wushin Chinfo or something along those lines. And it's a very complex thing to like try and explain, I guess. A lot of people have this preconception that there's one creator that creates us all, creates everything else. And I'm sorry, to me that's laughable. It's absolutely laughable. You want to stand there and explain to me how one being, one creator, where did he come from? Who created him? Because he had to be created.
Yeah, he was. I believe he did exist. I do believe there was this
his name was Yahweh. His name was Yahweh, and he was a Palladian. Had nothing to do with gods and all that bollocks. I'm sorry. I know that sounds bad to say. But
I've heard it said. I've heard it.
Christianity, the whole God and Christianity crap was all about subjugation, control, and command. That is it.
Agreed. Yes, agreed.
All religions come from the oldest religion in existence, paganism.
Well, hang on. Is that the oldest religion? One of
the oldest religions. One of the oldest religions, or one of the original religions where people believed in nature, in Gaia.
Funny enough, you saying that, paganism being one of the oldest ones. Another very old one. Oh God, what's it called? Freddie Mercury, when he died and had a funeral in a real special way because he was Parsi. And the Indian religion of Parsi, they believe they used to put their dead into trees for birds to like peck away and get rid of, or they used to throw them into like a pit and allow feral dogs to eat the bodies because they believed that it was the right thing to do for the bodies to go back to nature like that. We do much the same. We said we do, but we buried them and let the worms have them. Yeah, that's right.
No, they still do that in parts of the Andes Mountains. So when a family member dies, they take the families up to something called Vulture Rock, where they leave the body out to be consumed by the vultures, therefore returning it back to the earth.
Yeah. I had a family friend who was Parsi. A family friend of ours was Parsi, one of my dad's old friends, and he converted over to Christianity because he came over to England and then he married a beautiful Western woman and converted over to Christianity. And he was a devout Christian, but which was, I said to him once, the problem was I was too young. I didn't grow into this until later in life. I wish I was more questioning when I was younger. The only thing when I questioned when I was younger is where I was going to get my next beer from, how can I get a bigger bike that my mates had, and how am I going to date that girl I really fancy. I didn't question anything other than that in life when I was younger. But
I never really had issues. I never really thought about that sort of stuff. I mean, I was never interested in people, even now. I can count my friend on one hand and lose 3 fingers. I don't. Everyone seems to pretend to be something they're not. They lie not only to themselves but to everyone else around them. It's almost like humanity as a whole is embarrassed to show their true nature because they've been taught that it's wrong.
Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah, they are. Yeah, no, that's completely right.
All these religions of Aryan, Babylonian.
They're dumbed down though, aren't they? They're dumbed down not to. They're kind of, we're so kind of like governed in a society, especially British society, where we're not meant to be governed. There's meant to be a free state, but we are getting more and more.
Are we going to go into summer, are we?
If we do, this is going to be struck off. I'll tell you that right now. This will be struck off. I can tell you that because that's how governed it is. I know exactly what will happen. Mention that name, and this will be struck off and it will be placed into a box and tucked away right next to the Ark of the Covenant. I can guarantee that. Waiting for some Harrison Ford to turn up. We've got the Ark of the Covenant in our brain.
Yeah, but do you know what it is?
Well, it's a radio to God. Everyone knows that.
No, it's not. It's the power source for the biggest pyramid. And they took its receiver off by taking the big gold triangle off the top of the pyramid.
Okay.
Think about it. The box was 2.4 cubics or 3.4 cubics or something like that by 3.4 cubics by 1 cubic wide.
Yeah.
Made from pure gold, the most conductive metal in the world. Fill that with vinegar, put 2 iron rods down the middle and connect them to the 2 angels on top. Touch it, I dare you. That will kill anyone. It was a power source and nothing more. This Ark of the Covenant, where it was God's toolbox, is freaking laughable. It's laughable. He's a god. Why would he need freaking tools if he's a god? And this is my hatred. Okay, this is my big hatred about God stuff. This guy is meant to be all-knowing, all-seeing, all-loving, all-caring, and to be fair, it's all bullshit. This guy had committed the greatest of all genocides 3 times over, according to his Bible. He's murdered the entire planet 3 times over because he woke up and wanted to stamp his feet like a petulant child. More than that, any god that can sit there and watch millions and millions and millions of innocent people being murdered, raped, I'm not going to say the word, tortured, a 5-year-old little girl that was beheaded in a town square for not wearing a freaking burqa. And he stood there and he watched that. He can see it, apparently, according to Christianity, that he can see everything. So he's seeing all these children being raped, all these children being trafficked, seeing all his clergymen in his name throughout history murdering, raping, and killing in the name of God. And the coward doesn't even step down and go, I didn't give him that book. I didn't tell him to do that. This is wrong. You're murdering my creation. Now, if he was willing to throw his favored son, so-called, into hell for saying no, why isn't he punishing the humans for raping innocents?
Do you know you're very religious?
He's no better than the animals that do the crime themselves. If this is in fact the case, because he just sits there and he watches and does nothing. I can't have faith in something so evil, so cruel. More than that, what type of entity demands that you fear them? A good God-fearing man is what it's stated. Tell me, what sort of entity feeds off fear? Because it ain't a freaking god. Is it?
Do you know, I think sometimes I do think that people that bring this argument up, they're more religious than they know. Because if it brings up so much emotion in a person, then you honestly, you have a belief. If there wasn't a belief, you wouldn't feel so passionate.
No, exactly. So let me just get this out there. I'm not so arrogant that I believe that we're born from separated, okay? I don't believe that we are the only entities And do I believe that there is a greater entity out there than us? Absolutely. Absolutely. Do I believe that it's an almighty God that created all and everything in existence? No.
Do you know I was enlightened once?
Yeah.
True story. True story. I was actually enlightened. I at the time I was living in Chiswick in a B&B above and off license, funny enough, which is quite handy. And because I used to drink back then, and it was there that I saw a shadow being. Okay, I've spoken about it loads, and you know, people can you can listen to a podcast. They're called what? Say that again. What?
They're called watchers.
Watchers. Okay. All right. I saw a watcher. This watcher looked like the Pied Piper. Came from a ball. It was a black room. Yeah, totally black, like dark. Yeah. I was in bed. For some reason I woke up, looked across at the corner, and I saw this black ball, darker than the surrounding darkness in the room. It wasn't pitch black room. We had street lights coming. But remember, I was a townhouse. I was a top bed sit on a townhouse. So yeah, it wasn't direct light. It was just like kind of like a dulled light hitting the ceiling of the bed set, but enough to illuminate a little bit.
Yeah.
But very black, deep black ball. And it just lifted up and it manifested silhouette, like a shadow, into this shape of a Pied Piper. Now, the funniest part was when it walked with an exaggerated. Do you remember the Monty Python School of Funny Walks, where John Cleese done that like kind of almost Adolf Hitler walk with the knee at 90 degrees? It walked a lot like that, 90 degrees. His knee came right up. Had this pointy hat on. Stopped at the end of my bed. I could not move. Arms couldn't move, totally just boom, out of it. Just couldn't move at all. And it emanated evil beyond anything. The worst kind of feeling of.
A quick question to you.
Awful. After that.
How would you define evil?
Not by action. After I witnessed that, I wouldn't define evil by action. I know that a lot of people are going to think, what? You know, there's a lot of evil going on, you know, with especially lately, you know, with the stuff that's gone on. Pure evil is an all-encompassing blanket of black. That's all I can say it is to me. It's a suffocating, all-encompassing feeling of just doom, disaster, hopelessness. That is evil. That is evil to me. After witnessing that, but soon after, I think it was about 2 days after, I went for sort of a bit of a metamorphosis. Remember, I was a drinker. And I kind of like I was in a low point in life anyway, and I for some reason I had it in my head to shave my head myself, and I left tufty bits. So I thought, oh God, no, I'll go to the barber. Had it all shaved off. After that, right, I was sitting in I used to work, but I was sitting in the pub garden after work, and I had this feeling of enlightenment, joy, happiness for no reason at all. Nothing really had changed in my life. No reason at all. Had this joy, happiness, and get this, right? This is what makes me think there is either a hive mind or something is around us, something's watching us. I had a feeling that what we experience and what we know, what we experience, goes and is transmitted to something. I had a very strong feeling that my emotions, my feelings, myself, my very being, my essence was being sent up as if it was being kind of like DHL'd into a higher body, and they were kind of they wanted to experience life, what we are living, but through people. But in exchange, they gave a lovely, oh wow, a glow of loveliness.
You could feel these veils connection.
Didn't last long. 3 days. 3 days.
That's because you let it go. You got comfortable with the feeling, and instead of holding on to it, you just let it sit there. If you had maintained it, you would still have the connection to this day.
Yeah.
How the Dalai Lama keeps a connection to the world around him.
Yeah. But what do I do? Meditate?
I'm big on meditation. I don't sleep very much, and a lot of people that hear this will be like, yeah, but I can prove it. It's not an issue. But I can go. So first of all, I have hypervigilance and hypersensitivity, so my brain moves extraordinarily quickly. It's why sometimes I have a brain freeze and I seem like I'm jumping from one thing to another very quickly. It's because of how quickly my brain fires. Now, I'm very sensitive to like people's emotions and other things like that. It's like when people walk past me, I can feel what they're feeling to a degree.
Yeah.
I can sense what their intentions are. And I think that's my biggest issue when it comes to people and not being able to be around them, because everyone is fake.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? I kind of with people I mean, I'm a big people person. I'll talk to anyone, I always give them a fair shake of the tail. But friends wise, it kind of do you know, I've lost a lot of friends, loads of friends. A lot of them have died, to be honest.
I've lost associates. I couldn't really call them friends, because a friend is someone that's there for you. A friend will call you when you're bullshit. A friend will put you right when you're wrong. If you're surrounded by loads of yes men, they're not friends. They're cowards.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, you need, where am I doing? I think you do need, friends which, I think you do need friends really that are friends regardless of whether you are friends with them or not. They care enough to say, right, okay, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this. If you don't like it, tough, because it's for your own best interests.
Yeah.
If you fall out with me about it, if you fall out about it with us, then it's no great shakes, because I'll still hit you up in a month's time when you've calmed down. So it's one of those things, and it's like, so with what I was going to ask was, with yourself, which I'm most interested about, is the mermaids. Now, you spoke to me a little bit about these mermaids being.
I can prove to you and every one of your listeners that mermaids are real, and they're not these beautiful, colorful things that everybody seems to think. Okay, that it's not Disney World. Okay, but there is that theory of the aquatic ape, and there's a video that I sent to you. I believe I sent it to you. I don't know whether you watched it.
Yeah, I watched that. It's brilliant. Yeah, really good.
So that has what 17 well-known scientists, all under sworn affidavits. On top of this, there was a captain of the ship that chased and destroyed them and killed them.
Yeah.
Now, this all started in 1994 or 1996 where there was a massive beaching, whale beaching.
Yeah.
And
I remember that.
Yeah, the Navy said that they were testing a new sonic weapon. Well, they weren't testing a new sonic weapon. They were attacking and killing what they perceived as mermaids, or what other people perceived as a cryptid. The aquatic ape theory was hidden from us. And
so are you saying that, because I did see the film, but to people out there, what Joe's talking about is as mankind grew and evolved, some evolved. We're talking like from the end of
cataclysm.
But didn't they evolve though? But split.
They evolved after 500 million years. So what happened was a massive cataclysm. The world started to change, and there were earthquakes, massive eruptions, and things like that. Some of the humans moved inland and went down into mountains, caves, stuff like that, and others went into the ocean.
Okay.
They were drawn to the ocean initially by the abundance of easy pickings, the easy food, the shellfish, and all the other bits, like all the fresh water, the fruits, and everything else. That's why they were drawn there initially. When the eruption started and everything else, it's said that a small group of them ventured out into the oceans. Over time, they slowly evolved, started to develop webbed hands, webbed toes, started to lose all the fur on their bodies. And then they went, what the hell was that? Oh, we got a biker group just turned up.
Okay, if you want, I'll tell you what, if you're busy, we can come back.
Not busy. No, I just heard them all go.
Okay. Okay.
I just... Not used to that. There's a lot of big groups of it, but yeah, no. The aquatic ape theory is it's proven. It's proven. They are our cousins, and the Americans decided to take it on themselves and hunt them like dogs back in '94 to 1998. Now there was a company involved called NOAA. NOAA.
The nautical. I know they're the ones who put the microphones or took over the microphones, which are here, there, and everywhere, all around the ocean, aren't they?
Yeah.
Nautical. I can't remember what they're called. I know what it stands for. The acronym. No, I can't. No, that's going to make me look stupid.
My brain's gone now as well.
Yeah. I can't remember what it stands for now. If anyone knows, and let us know in the comment. Because they're the ones that put microphones all across the ocean, picked up the bloop, picked up the sweep, and all those other sounds as well. So people evolved. Some went into the ocean to fish to hunt for fish, and then grew webbed hands, webbed feet, and just naturally
over a period of time just shaped and reformed.
And they can breathe underwater.
They can breathe underwater. They can dive like stupidly deep.
Okay.
They can outswim sharks. They swim with dolphins. They travel with whales, like transatlantic crossings and stuff like that. They will. This is why the military targeted the whales. It's the only way they could find them.
Okay.
The open ocean is a very dangerous place. It's very large. It's full of very large predators and extremely powerful currents.
Yeah.
Now, the aquatic ape, or mermaid as we call them, are approximately 9 feet in length, tail to head, and they probably weigh in excess of about 80 to 150 kilos, depending on the size. Now, that's not big enough or strong enough to fight against the ocean currents. So they would need something to draft off. They would draft off the whales.
Got you. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And it was through the whales that the Americans started using their hypersonic, ultrasonic weapon to hunt them, which is why there were thousands and thousands of whales being washed up. First in America, then in Australia, then in South Africa. It was in South Africa they had the biggest breakthrough. They caught a great white shark. Now, they weren't too impressed with the fact that it was a great white shark. What was impressive was its stomach content.
Why?
Its stomach content contained the tail fluke, half a skull, an arm, fingers, and a pelvis, a human load-bearing pelvis.
Yes, that's what was in the film.
Yes.
Yeah.
Then used used one of those people that can take a part of a bone, a part of the skull, and rebuild something. Just size, shapes, forms. I can't remember what they're called. What are they bloody called?
I'll drop the link. I'll drop the link for that video on the description here on this one. But there is, when I watched the film, I've got to be honest, Joe, there was another video debunking that one, saying that all the scientists were actors. What do you say to that?
So you can't act while under a sworn affidavit. A sworn affidavit means you get locked up in a federal prison for the rest of your natural life, you and your entire family. That's what a sworn affidavit is. Okay, you cannot break an affidavit. You cannot lie when under an affidavit. It's like being under oath. You're not allowed to. You can't.
Right. Okay. So that's blown him out the water. And the guy
that you're on about, I also watched the debunking of that video.
Yeah.
And he was then debunked and made and shown to be a fraud. He was paid by the government.
Oh, was he?
He was paid by the government, scripted by the government.
Yeah.
To get this information.
I didn't know that. Oh, okay.
And if you look up the guy now, you won't be able to find him.
Right. Because when I saw it, I thought to myself, I don't know, and he seemed quite convincing. Oh, yeah, they're actors.
Well, of course he's convincing. The government are the biggest known liars and bullshitters. I mean, the government lie to people every single fucking day.
Yeah.
Every single day. They lie about the existence of werewolves, vampires, dogmen, changelings. They lie about every type of cryptid you could possibly imagine. They lie about the secret labs. They lie about like Area 51 through to Area 57. Did you know Area 51 was made public on purpose? So it would take the eyes of the other research facilities within the area.
I did hear something about that. That with Groom Lake, it was actually on purpose. They did do testing there. They did do testing.
But they do more testing in Porton Down in Salisbury.
Yes.
They say that it's a research facility for gunpowders and other stuff. It's bullshit. They cultivate new diseases, viruses, biological weapons. They've been researching and splicing human and animal DNA. They've been doing this for freaking years.
Joe, listen, it's coming up to an hour. Can I say tutty bye on this? Because that then gives us an hour video. Yeah, and I can then whack this onto TikTok. And will you come on again?
Yeah, definitely.
Brilliant. Joe, thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on. And guys, thank you for listening. You're more than welcome, mate. It's always a pleasure talking to you. And I do consider you a friend.
I've always considered you a friend, mate. I feel proud to know you. I really
All
do. I
right.
don't know many people, and there's not many people I would call friend.
Well, that's lovely to know, man. That's a very nice thing to say. Really kind words. I appreciate that. And for now, I shall say tutty bye, and I shall end it. Thank you very much. Okay, right then. Let's set this up.